Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you. This is Tix. This is Common Sense. Ooh, I am your host, the Morning Star. What's going on, Lewis? Oh, let's get into this. So, understand how Trump set up his cabinet. All right. This is his cabinet, if you can see it clearly. I hope you can see it clearly. Donald Trump, as we said, let's see. Let me make the text larger. There we go. All right. So I'll even go wide so you can get a good look at it. All right. So Donald Trump said he was going to drain the swamp and everything. And shortly after they realized that they couldn't beat him, after Biden mumbled and stumbled and bumbled his way through that debate, a couple days later, Pennsylvania, they tried to assassinate Trump. And Congress just sat there and grilled that woman and grilled that woman and grilled that woman. And she knew that she was going to walk away without her job. She already knew she was going to get fired. It's just that this was a yelling session. She didn't have to say anything. And she really didn't say anything. She already knew she was fired because she failed. She failed. The mission was, hey, secure the presidency for the Democratic Party. She failed. I know, DEI, right? DEI. Sending a woman to do a man's job. I mean, I'm being funny. I'm not being sexist. I'm being funny. But I mean, she failed. She failed like them firefighters. So when you look at Trump's cabinet, we're going to get to this. You got J.D. Vance, who is, I mean, come on. This dude, unless something disastrous happens during his first term, he's going to be a two-termer. And then, as we were saying last night, Tulsi Gabbard probably be next in line. She'll probably be the next female, or the first female woman president. You know what I'm saying? She appears to be the strongest female candidate that could run for president by far. So it'll probably be her if she wants the job. Then you've got Secretary of State, Mark Rubio. Mark Rubio, his job is to look into the corruption of what's going on within these states with the governors and the mayor. That's his job. His job is to look into the money. As Trump said, we need to get it down to at least $1 trillion by March of next year. With $36 trillion in debt, you got to get it down to 1, or else, we're SOL. So they need to find the money. And if they just happen to find that the trail leads them to a mayor or a governor's pocket, congresswoman, state representative, state senator, whatever, just follow the paper trail. Secretary of the Treasury, he's the one, Scott Bessent, he's going to hand over all the receipts that they asked for, that Mark Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Doug Berman, Kristi Noem, all of these directors, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Transportation, Attorney General, all of them, Secretary of Treasury. These are your jobs. Your jobs is to follow the money, find out where all the money is going. We got to save as much as we can. Like, It's about to get tough for people, but I need to make all of these states who do imports into America, all these all these imports that come in. I need to make sure that all of these people are paying their fair share of taxes. If we're paying this much, they need to be paying that much. America is a consumer economy. If it's going to get tough, you need to alleviate the debt off of the American people. So we're going to do the tariff thing. That way I can get rid of the IRS and create the ERS like it used to be. Before, for some reason, y'all voted to take the money out of your own pockets. I don't know why you did that. That was very stupid. That was stupid. You want to talk about stupid ideas? That was stupid. So I need to find out where all this money is going. I need to cut the budget. That's why they stopped food stamps for people who are work eligible with no children. Lose a lot of money in food stamps. They now have to go through they have to go state through state and make sure that there are no illegals who are on government assistance. They have to trace all that back and cut that stuff off. So that way there's more for those who actually need it while saving the state money. Mark Rubio. At any rate, yeah, it's about to get tough. Now, Pam Bondi, really all starts with her. Whatever these guys find as far as missing money, all right, they take their findings to Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi then tasked Kash Patel, his FBI unit, to go and investigate. Now, this is something that's been bothering me to where I started to question it, like, for the longest. You had the FBI hit Tiffany Henyard up, okay, in both Thornton Township and in Dalton. They confiscated computers and records and whatnot, but that was like back around August, September. And still nothing, like not a word, not a peep. Matter of fact, I don't even think they were attending the meetings anymore. And it's like, this chick was at the White House. The state attorney general nor the governor has anything to say about what's going on down there. Fight broke out at one of the meetings, but she jumped in, kicking on people. Supposedly she kicked Jed in the face with no shoes on and got slapped to the floor, and her wig is literally on sale on eBay. Somebody snatched her wig. I mean, this is like a mayor and a supervisor of a township. What happened to the FBI investigation? And I'm thinking that maybe they just secured evidence and possibly it got lost on the truck. I mean, there were some names that were probably in there pretty high up that was on those records. I mean, this chick was at the White House. You don't just some podunk mayor from some podunk town get inside the White House. It don't work like that. You got to pull some strings. At any rate, I know that was her ultimate. I got to meet Massa in the big house moment. Oh my God. Anyway. Yeah, Mark Rubio is going to have Kash Patel's FBI agents go and, well, we know y'all confiscated that evidence. Where is it? We need to go through that. We need to make examples out of people. She would be my number one target, as with Brandon Johnson. And anybody else after that. I mean, Eric Adams, you already cut a deal with him. All right. You already cut a deal with him. Tell me where the migrants are. We'll drop the charges. Oh, okay. Cool. They hiding in ghost towns too? Where are these ghost towns? Okay, thank you. We'll take it from here. Yeah, your cases are dismissed. Whatever. Got rid of those illegal vendors on the street. It's been there for like decades, since like the 80s. Clean them right on up. You have a license to be out here? Pack your shit and go, buddy. It's either that or it's going in the trash. Let's go. Ooh. I mean, just sidebar. Speaking of New York, in all honesty, if they really want to keep the New York subway systems tight and safe, they really do need to put in the ones that look like ribs. Let me see. Hold on. All right, here we go. Hold on. They really want to keep the New York subway system safe, keep homeless people and stuff out of them, they need to use these turnstiles. Ooh. They need to use these. Just if you can't get in unless you pay, there's no way you're jumping these bars or anything like that. Can't get in unless you pay. That'll keep a lot of craziness off the subway, or at least, yeah, it'll minimize a lot of the craziness, because a lot of that stuff comes from homeless people, or people who jump the turnstiles. I mean, you saw what happened with the last one. Like, the kid jumped the turnstile, and less than like 5 seconds later, he pushed the guy in front of the train, like, for no reason. Yeah, none of that would have happened if these were the only turnstiles that the New York subway systems used. You wouldn't have to worry about none of that. The further out you go where, turnstile jumping isn't a problem, then maybe you don't have to use these. But in your real problematic areas, for sure, should use those. Oh, what's up, Adric, AB Media, and Ray? All right, sorry, I'm looking at the screen and I'm trying to get all of this out before we get into this video. Say Cam is making a comeback. Good, though. We need more material. See, when you said last night Trump is not on Twitter, what did you mean? Because I'll see videos of him posting on there. What I mean is that Twitter is not his main source of posting. All right, he now mainly posts on Truth Social. All the reports about Trump tweets is coming from Truth Social. Nobody's talking about what he's posting on Twitter. The Truth Social one is where it's at. Hell, I started a Truth Social account, just so I can call myself keeping up with the news. So that's what I meant. But anyway, the sidebar off of New York. Where am I? Okay. Sidebar off of New York. The point is to save the money. And if Trump happens to run into some corruption while chasing the money, because this is how you clean up bad leadership. Do understand, this is still a Democratic-led nation. You understand? In its biggest cities, there's more tore up cities. Gavin Newsom, all right, Karen. Karen Bass, Pamela Page, the chick down in New Orleans, of course Brandon Johnson, Brandon Scott, of course Tiffany. You got the mayor of Philadelphia. You got the mayor and the governor of Denver. You know, you got a lot of corruption out here. I mean, just think, who was the chick that ran for governor here? I forget her name, down here in Georgia. I can picture her face, but I can't think of her name. But at any rate, she's already facing charges of corruption. She's already facing charges of corruption in some little organization that she ran. Some money came up missing. Something about money supposed to be spent on t-shirts. $30,000 came up missing. And she wanted to be governor. Blamed it on black men. Yes, blame us. We take full accountability. We take full. You want to pin it on us? Fine. In a state full of white people that outnumber us. Stacey Abrams. Thank you, AB. Yeah, Stacey Abrams. Like I said, I can picture her with, her smile and everything. I can picture. Gotta be nice. Yeah, she are Miss Mathematician. Well, tell us, Miss Mathematician, where that money go? Speaking of money and leadership, all right, I'm gonna say this and then we'll get started because this is the bombshell. It's the meal before the dessert. So Kamala Harris, I want y'all to understand something here. You ask yourself, you say it's going to be a crazy summer. They haven't got the sex crime, that Epstein stuff is real. Oh yeah, I know, Urban Nomad. Yeah, Kash Patel. All right, I forgot to touch on the point. Kash Patel has to clean out the FBI. All right, you saw during the Super Bowl, they ran an ad for people to join the Secret Service. They're hiring. So those of you who have been in the military or in the police force, maybe you've been, like a former detective or something, you want a job, the Secret Service is hiring. They will train you. Get your ass over there. Just like the military, they are low on men. Pete Hegseth is there to whip the military into shape, as well as find out what happened to the money. You understand? There's a lot of corruption going on in U.S. government. And that needs to be cleaned up. It's ridiculous. We're supposed to be the richest country in the nation, but we're $37 trillion in debt. How the fuck does that? I'm sorry. All right, that's a dollar in the swear jar. Don't worry, I'm gonna take care of them. That's a dollar in the swear jar. Yeah, it's a dollar in the swear jar. Any rate, they're going to find out where the money went. And if they find out that it's been laundered and stolen, then, of course, you're going to have to face charges for that. Trump is not playing around. I don't know why people think that this man is playing around. Like, if you want to get off, because the receipt, you signed the receipt. You say you gave the money to such and such. Like, because I'm going to tell you right now, between you and them, I'm going to trace the money. I'm going through both of your bank accounts. I'm checking social security numbers and everything. We're going to find out where that money went. And if it did not go to the person that it's supposed to go to, your ass is going up on charges for theft. I don't care who or what you are. Ed, though, brought up a good point last night. He said, well, if they do it to the Democrats, they got to do it to the Republicans. Not necessarily. I mean, it would be fair, but that's not what he's doing. You tried to kill him. He knows where your bodies are buried. People forget he was president before. The video came up where the guy was like, well, this USA thing been going on since the 70s or whatever. You know, you telling me they just now started stealing? They were stealing when Trump was in office. Like, yes, they were. And he turned a blind eye. You forget he was president. He knows where all the bodies are buried. He knows where all the money is at. He was president. He read the files. He was doing his homework. He knows where all your bodies are buried. So he's going to your graveyards and your graveyard specifically. If a Republican or two gets caught up in it, then so be it. How you gonna try to impeach somebody that's got the smoking gun? They got you on video. Got you on video with your hands in the cookie jar. Physical evidence. See, here's the bank accounts and here's the money. Here's the double signatures when they took out the money. Here's suddenly, shortly after, there's this large sum of money in their account. And of course, here we have the director. They said that they only got like 20,000, even though when she heard that they were giving 20 million on TV, the first thing she said was, I didn't get 20 million. I saw nothing close to 20 million. Like, well, how much did you get for that transsexual opera? Well, I only got like 200,000. Like, oh, really? You know what I'm saying? Well, where's the rest of the money? That has to be accounted for. You know what I'm saying? That's when you bring the case to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel with his new FBI agents. Damn it, I keep missing the point on what I was trying to make on that. An FBI agent is who dimed out Tom Homan's ICE troops when they went to go raid that apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, which I said that should have been the first place where they started. They should have started there to send a message and then work their way down. Should have started there first. But an FBI agent dropped dime on it. Like he was talking about it. Oh my God. Do I really need to? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I like to present the facts. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yep. I'm trying to find a short version. Let's see here. All right. Oh, nope. Hold on. Oh, well. Screw it. We'll go with this edition.
Welcome back now to the border. A memo from ICE was leaked, and that memo revealed details of a planned crackdown on illegals in Los Angeles. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says she believes the FBI leaked it. Noem posted this on X. The FBI is so corrupt. We will work with any and every agency to stop leaks and prosecute these crooked deep state agents to the fullest extent of the law, writes the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. It comes days after a similar leak happened for a raid in Aurora, Colorado, where several Tren de Aragua gang members were allegedly able to escape capture because of the leaked memo. Joining me now is U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan. Tom, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all of your efforts. That's number one. You were at that Colorado raid. Tell me what happened. Do you believe the FBI is behind leaking your plans and allowing these maniacs, these Tren de Aragua gangsters, to escape capture?
Well, yeah, the Aurora operation was leaked. We think we found the source of the leak. It's under investigation right now by DHS-IG. Secretary Noem, I agree with her that there's some information that tends to show that the second leak and the California operation may have been someone in the FBI. I've talked to the Deputy Attorney General. We talk every day, but this weekend we talked about he has opened up a criminal investigation into that leak. So when we find these people and we have the evidence to support a prosecution, that's exactly what's going to happen. They don't understand. I don't care what their political beliefs are. This isn't about politics. This is about the safety of our officers. It's only a matter of time if these leaks continue that our officers are going to walk into a place and be ambushed by someone who just don't care about life and are going to take these police officers on. It's already a dangerous job. Giving the bad guys a head up, we're coming, is going to just make the job much more dangerous. We're taking it serious. It's under criminal investigation. Those who are responsible will be held criminally responsible, and we'll prosecute them.
That's unbelievable. What are you going to do to keep your raids quiet? I mean, you know, now you know somebody on the inside is leaking your plans, and you can't have that.
No, and that's why we're going to take serious action, and it's under criminal investigation. I think once that word gets out and we're making it known, we're going to prosecute. We don't care if you carry a badge or gun or not. You will be criminally prosecuted, and we'll lock you up. So, look, we're keeping the plans real tight. You know, I said from day one, we want to be transparent with American people that we truly are concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. So we had some media ride-alongs. Bill Melugin did the Aurora. But, you know, we're keeping things close hold now. We're reevaluating, you know, how much media ride-along we want. I'm not pointing the finger at them. We can't show any leaks by the friendly media, but we're looking at everything. But here's what people need to understand: we're going to keep coming. This is not going to slow us down. In sanctuary cities, you want to put roadblocks up? We'll double the manpower in sanctuary cities. We'll double the targeting in sanctuary cities. If we can't get them at their home, we'll get them at the workplace. We're going to increase worksite enforcement tenfold. We are not walking away. We're coming. We're not going to be stopped. We're going to keep President Trump's promise on looking for those who are in the country illegally that are a public safety threat. Nothing will stop us from doing this job.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so what? Thousands of agents said they wanted to quit. You know, Trump wanted to look into the files of what, I think 5,000 agents that prosecuted or had anything to do with the January 6th prosecution to see how many other political type of persecutions they've done to people, see if it's a track record, or they were just, you know, just doing their job. They weren't the ones that doctored evidence and stuff like that. No. Like, yeah, like it's time to clean them all out. I mean, what you're really doing, in all honesty, based on what Tom Homan's team is looking for, which are illegal immigrants with criminal records, some which have been arrested in the United States several times, have crossed the border several times, you know, because they're running back and forth away from their crimes between America and wherever they come from. We're looking for them. And you're telling them that we're coming. Are you crazy? Like what? You're mad because some guy who's been here for 20 years got snatched up early one morning on his way to work. Come to find out he was an illegal. He had been here for 20 years. He built a life, you know, being a day laborer, a painter, a roofer, whatever. Getting ready to leave for work. 8:30 in the morning. Snatched him up. Couldn't prove his citizenship. Well, on the bus you go. We're supposed to feel sorry for him. Like, understand, what led ICE to him was them being on the trail of one of those said criminals. And based on the information, they stopped by your father's house. He stopped by your father's house. Now, whether he asked him for information or for money, we don't know. He's going to tell us, you know, if he likes his life here in America, he's going to tell us exactly what that guy was looking for. That's why you hear about those people being put on ankle monitors and whatnot. Yeah, those are the non-violence that's been here for a while. It's like, well, we'll keep an eye on you. We'll get back to you. You can go back to work. You go live your life, but we're going to make sure you don't go nowhere. We'll talk to you later. At least they're cutting those people a deal if they give up information. With everybody else, you got to go. That's why I was so stupid of what that Somalian chick, Omar, Ilhan, whatever, don't say anything. Like, they'll detain them. And if they can't prove their citizenship, they're gone. If anything, you need to tell them what your message really should be. Is like, hey, if you have American citizenship or working visa or anything stating that you're allowed to be here, any paperwork, always carry it on you. And if you get caught up in a raid, you get stopped by an ICE agent, be sure to pull it out and let them know. Like, whoa, yo, I got papers. Your job is to make it home safely, not be calling somebody from a detention center. What an idiot. But yeah, so Kash Patel's got to clean out the FBI. So the FBI will be hiring. You'll be seeing commercials for that real soon. Real soon. And he's going to be really busy. Like, really busy. You're going to be investigating celebrities. All right. Remember we were talking about the Diddy crew for Kamala? Yeah, you're going to be investigating celebrities. You're going to be investigating politicians, and you're going to be investigating mayors and governors and prosecutors and district attorneys and all of that stuff. You're going to be very fucking busy. You're even going to be investigating people in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You guys are going to be very fucking busy. Excuse me. That's two. Sorry, that's $2 in the swear jar. I know I hate when I break my own rules. But yeah, you wonder where Kamala's money, the $1 billion that the Asian woman raised. I know, brains and beauty, right? Yeah, and not scared. That's a woman. At any rate, when she talks about what was going on there in the White House, and we're going to cover that series starting tomorrow at 9. We're going to go over that interview. She knows where the bodies are buried. And she is definitely got an axe to grind with the Democratic Party. So she should definitely be one to be talking to some special agents that Kash Patel is handpicked. You understand? I mean, this is like Operation Payback. Sure, it's going to be a dictatorship. Yes, it is. You already knew as soon as he got in, as soon as he took that seat, he was coming after you. That's why, what is her name? Oh my God. Good Lord. Where's my mind tonight? Where's my mind tonight? I can picture her. She looks like the mother. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is that woman's name? Okay. I'll come back to it. It'll hit me. But she flew the country. She went to England. Suddenly she had a mysterious accident. And then the next day she was having hip surgery, and she'll be out for about a good 6 to 8 months recovering. She got the hell up out of the country. So did a couple of other celebrities. You know, they call themselves fleeing to England, which is going through a civil war between their immigrants and the locals, and the government is 100% on the immigrant side. Now they understand why we have guns, to rise up against a tyrannical government. You can't even post a meme, a mean meme, or a common sense meme about immigration without the police kicking in your door at 3 a.m., dragging you off to jail. I kid you not. Excuse me. You can't say anything about the Palestinian flag being raised in England over your own while the person screams F England. You oh no, that's hate speech. Off to jail with you. I mean, it's that bad. It's that bad. They had their own version of Emmett Till. Some son of African immigrants got out of a cab. Well, yeah, cab, Uber, whatever. Went into a dance class and stabbed a bunch of 8, 9, and 10-year-olds up with a knife. I think like 3 of them died, 7 of them wounded. Yeah, they had their own Emmett Till situation. And then come to find out that they have been covering up the amount of essays, you know, actual assault that was happening to white women by Muslim and African men. They were covering it up. They were letting the guys go. One woman reported her assault, talked about her assault online, as far as how the police let him go, and they arrested her for that. They arrested her for that. Yeah, that's why we have guns in America. Nobody cares what some pencil-pushing, pencil-neck geek of a Democrat has to say about gun control. At any rate, when Kamala lost the election, and this is me finally, I mean, I knew about it, but now I'm putting all the puzzle pieces together as to what happened to all of that money she had, because you didn't spend over $1 billion on just having Beyonce speak. Like the highest, she was the highest amount reportedly spent on at $10 million. All right. Oprah's little $1 or $3 million, that was nothing. That was a drop in the bucket. You had over $1 billion. So where did the money go? And then it dawned on me, like really concerning my TikTok, where like up until November 6th, I mean, it was like a flurry of activity because I was just posting stuff from ground news mixed in with memes or whatnot, you know, but mainly just real news stories. And the pushback that I was getting like hella views, like 10,000, 5,000 views, you know, and I'm not even promoting the channel. You know, a lot of people get big because you can pay to promote your channel. You can buy views, you know, you can buy views and subscriptions. You just have to keep paying into the system. And then what they'll do, they'll load you up with a lot of bots. Like over the week, they'll load you up with a lot of bots. You know, you can also do that with views. They'll load your views up with a lot of bots, but you pay for that. Stupid. But mine was just growing naturally, you know. I mean, some people do it, something goes viral, it's fine. But I'd rather just be natural. At any rate, I mean, I was getting like, my page was under attack. You know, all these community guideline violations that I was challenging, you know, threatening to kill my page. I'm challenging and I'm winning. You know, I mean, but it was so bad that Like when I get stories from Ground News on my phone, I'll screenshot them and I'll send them out to my socials. And TikTok, a couple of times they flagged it as false news. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is Ground News. They have a channel on here. Can't you just go to their channel and wait? So then I have to appeal it. And after a while, I guess now that the story is grown and it's verified, then they approved it. But it was wild. But all of that stopped on November 6th. All of that stopped. And people who were across YouTube who had Democratic leaning channels, they were saying that their views dropped, that like they lost like 200,000 to 300,000 followers. You know, especially like what was really bothering them was that not only was their view counts also affected by that, but also their subscriptions, because a lot of those people that they lost had bought their, you know how you can, as you're a content creator, you can have a subscription. People can watch videos early. They all had subscriptions. So they were not only boosting his channel up, but they were also paying him to keep talking positively about the Democratic Party. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, and The View, their ratings were all up. Like they had over 1 million something viewers up until November 6th. On November 6th, their ratings, their viewership was practically cut in half, and then by the end of the week or the 2 weeks, it was cut more than half. So who the hell was really watching CNN, MSNBC, ABC, and The View? I mean, we went over this on the other channel, how The View was losing subscribers. They were losing subscribers. People didn't trust them anymore. CNN had to fire people. They had to fire people left and right. They had to cut Rachel Maddow's salary, though not enough, but in order to balance it out for her to at least keep $25 million, she had to work 5 days a week, which is what you would expect when you're paying somebody $30 million a year. You expect them to work 5 days a week. Shoot. Yeah, now she got to work hard. She got to work real hard at slamming Trump. Man, what a tedious job. You got reporters quitting. I mean, quitting on the air. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, Politico, they were the first ones exposed as a media company that was getting money from the government. Second they got exposed, a couple days later, Friday came, they couldn't even make payroll because the spigot had been cut off. I guess Friday was payday for them too, huh? Friday was payday for everybody. No paycheck this Friday or ever again. Not under this flag. Y'all gonna have to start selling some computers. Spigot is cut off. You know you're dead when you can't even make payroll on your own. No, so now we see what happened to the rest of that money. She was spending that money on media because she was listening to the interns. You know? Shoot. Smart and sexy Asian. That's what we call it. Sa. The SAA. Sasa. There we go. Sasa, she figured it out. I mean, she was talking about how the interns were running the White House. Sasa was talking about how the interns were running the White House. So, of course, the interns that were running Kamala's campaign were of the same ilk. That's why she attacked the media the way that they did. You know, they called it misinformation. Remember that? They was calling it, oh, if it's not positive for the Republicans, then it's misinformation, and they spend a lot of money combating misinformation. This is what Mark Zuckerberg testified to. That like they had me like censoring Leonardo DiCaprio memes. Like anything that wasn't Democrat positive, they censored it. Like remember the video came out where Kamala had the earpiece in her ear. She was sitting down doing an interview. She's like, oh, they're talking to me in my ear. And she was drunk. We were saying that during the debate, that ear was always covered with hair. Like, so, you know, why don't we see that ear? Like, do you got the earpiece in? It don't really matter whether it was the earring or not. Like, that's not really the question. But we're wondering, well, is it one of those? But still, do you have a microphone in your ear? Pull that hair back. Let me see your ear. So I posted the video of her doing that, and I said, see, yeah, like she does wear an earpiece in her ear. They're gonna flag that talking about some it's the earring, it's not an earpiece. And I was like, I didn't say it was. The fuck? Like, man, whoo. Read. I mean, they was flagging stuff left and right. Flagging, suppressing channels, all of that stuff. That's how they were combating misinformation. That's why Elon, when he bought Twitter, it was a breath of fresh air, which is now turning to profit, by the way. It was a breath of fresh air because that was the one place where you could actually tell the truth without being censored by a moderator. Like, damn, that place was insufferable. Yeah, that's why the platform was dead, but it's back. It is back. You saw we were posting videos from it last night. No, but that's where a lot of that $1 billion went to. She dumped a lot of money in media in order to quote unquote combat misinformation and promote democratic positivity. That's why now the message, now that Trump is in office, the message no longer resonates because there's not enough people doing it. You're not being bombarded with it. And anybody still talking like that after what you've seen since the 20th looks like a fool. You look and sound like a fool, especially talking all that race stuff. You look and sound like a fool. Speaking of which, I don't know if y'all saw this morning, but Al, anything for $1, Sharpton was on the Mink and was it Micah, whatever, the Morning Joe show, saying that DEI was a failure, and he was explaining why DEI is a failure. That was this morning. Hold on, I'll show you. I'll show you the evidence. I'll show you the evidence. Here we go. Oh, wait. Hold on. This is somebody else's channel. I don't want to do anybody else's content outside of the actual source. Oops. Is that the same one? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Let's go.
And Rev, I want to point to a piece of the New York Times that looks into another angle as to what's going on here, what many see as an identity crisis the Democratic Party is facing about identity politics. Reporter Shane Goldmacher writes this: Democrats are grappling with how to stand up for diversity and defend marginalized groups that have come under assault from the White House without allowing their party to be defined or marginalized by those fights. President Trump has pushed to make DEI a dirty word, racing to unravel diversity programs across the federal government at a remarkable speed. But Democrats are struggling to marshal an effective response. They are debating publicly and privately when to push back, how to push back, and what exactly to push back on. Some are saying that almost no instances of discrimination, especially rank racism, should go unanswered. Others are pressing the party to be more selective and engage only in cultural battles that are winnable. And still others are urging the party to avoid identity politics altogether, even when Republicans seem to be opening themselves up to a fierce counterattack. And so my question...
What? There is no counterattack. Because the whole issue is DEI, and everybody knows the truth about DEI, but nobody wants to admit it. Because the lowest of the low of the rung, they're the ones that's going to suffer. And it's like, it's not our fault. You were given, the purpose of DEI was to give you the opportunity to do the job. If you can't do the job, then we're going to fire you, a la Kerry Champion. Like you can't work for 2 sports networks. You can't even you're regulated to sister girl appearances on CNN. The girl won't even give you a co-host chair. You're too busy dancing over some I'm the most educated. Like, nobody listens to your podcast. I mean, TV and the internet are 2 different things. They do not translate well if you suck. You're not boosted up. The spigot has been cut off. I mean, damn, how do you not even survive going from, well, LeBron James had 28 points, but it took him this many years. Stephen A., what do you have to say about that? Okay, former basketball player, whoever, what do you have to say about that? Okay, that's our time. We're going to go to a commercial break. We'll be back in a moment. I mean, how do you fuck that up? Excuse me, that's 3. 3 in the swear jar. How do you mess that up? How do you mess that up? But yet you're sitting up here talking about if it wasn't for affirmative action and DEI, you wouldn't have gotten your jobs. But yeah, you couldn't even hold on to those jobs. I mean, I get it. Maybe you don't want to have sex with Gargamel, so you didn't go back to Fox Sports 1. You know, I get it. I get it. Trust me. Like, I mean, she was clearly closing her eyes and sometimes holding her nose. Believe you me. I can only imagine the horror she went through when he was trying to stick his tongue in her mouth. The horror. Let me stop. I'm supposed to be serious. At any rate, yeah, she was bragging about being an affirmative action school recipient and a DEI hire at her job, but you couldn't hold on to either job because you couldn't do the job. Or either you could do the job, but you kept up so much drama that, you know, you just became a cancer in the workplace. So they let you go. I mean, we see that with these videos. These girls are at the job too busy gossiping or showing up late and all that stuff. My cousin had my car. Yeah, the such make more money than me. Like, why are you in there talking about money? Shouldn't you be working? You're in there gossiping. You should be working. And now your dumb self is getting on TikTok and telling us, like the people at your job, trust me, they subscribe to you. They follow you. Whether you know it or not, all they need is your name. You give it to one person, you might as well gave it to everybody. Somebody got a grudge on you, they'll report you. And next thing you know, you in HR trying to defend a video that you stupidly made in your car or in the bathroom or somewhere at work when you're supposed to be working. I mean, that right there is grounds for termination because you're stealing time to engage in social media. You are crazy. Yeah, those are DEI hires. I mean, the FAA, people who had mental disabilities could work at the FAA as a you could work in the tower. You could be an air traffic controller even with a mental disability. I mean, that's how sad it was. Anyway,
To you, Rev, is where do you stand on this? Some say some of these fights are for another day as we're in complete crisis.
I think that what the Democratic Party has to do and the leadership of the party is a stand for something and not try to be all things to all people. And when I read the article, I think that's the debate. Either you're going to say that we are for diversity, and diversity meaning blacks and women and LGBTQ and disabled. Don't let them interpret what it is, that we stand for that. We stand for good policing, but we don't stand for defund the police. You have to have enough nerve and enough backbone to say, define who you are and why you are, rather than be defined by your enemies. And I think that too often the Democrats have allowed their opposition to define them, and they accept the definition. So they are defined as extremists, and you all about defund the police, and you all about anarchy, and they become defensive rather than they set the tone. You're dealing with a president that has saluted the worst division in this country, that said it was fine people that were saying Jews will not replace us.
That's not what he said. We all know what he said. He said there were some very fine people on both sides, but there were some bad people on both sides. And he condemned both sides. Stop it.
Talking about while we are talking about by excluding and deporting people to Mexico, saying that whites are being oppressed in South Africa and they're welcome to be refugees here. Why aren't the Democrats exploiting? Here's a man saying whites are being oppressed, bring them in. We have room for them. We have room for Canada, room for Greenland, but Mexicans and Haitians go out.
First and foremost, those people are not seeking asylum legally. And I'm glad that he brought up the South African thing, because we touched on it last night, and I talked to Mosh about this today. And the South African thing is deeper than you know it to be. You say black women need to sit this one out, like salute and blessings to your brethren. What's going on, Forever Blessed, Urban Nomad? Let me break this down to you, what's going on with South Africa. Because, you know, I heard him out. I listened to him, and I've been piecing the puzzles together. Like I said, I'm listening to stuff scatterbrained, but I'm piecing the puzzles together. So, Trump let South Africa know, hey, look, you need to work out a peaceful resolution with the people who have the land there. All right? And we don't have the money. You know, we're making budget cuts. USA to South Africa, we're making budget cuts. We're paying for nothing. We're paying you guys to have like military there or whatnot. But we're not going to pay for that anymore. So can you please work out a peaceful resolution with the white people there in South Africa that happen to be massive landowners? And you heard what the South African president said. He said, hell to the no. That doesn't count. He said, hell no. Like, we will take the land back. He said that. So that's when Trump offered to the South Africans, the whites in South Africa, hey, look, if you want to come to the United States, come on. I'm pretty much giving you sanctuary. Are you not listening to your president? I'm giving you sanctuary. Look, I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just telling y'all, I'm interpreting what's going on. I'm breaking it down so y'all can understand it. All right. Y'all come on to the United States because I can't protect you anymore. We have to cut the funding off. I can't protect you anymore. And the president is not willing to sit down and talk to you guys. He's hell-bent on taking the land back from y'all. And it's pretty much normal for there to be a news story coming out of South Africa about, some white farmer being found dead, butchered in his home or something like that. You say this is about Rwanda. So I still have, I still haven't caught up on that. Oh my God. But I know the outline of it. At any rate, it's like, hey, we can't protect you, so you need to leave the country. And the white South Africans are like, no, we're not going anywhere. And it's like, in all honesty, for those white South Africans, you're no longer under U.S. protection. Just so you know, you're up under the protections of Russia and China. You're their problem. You're not ours. We offered you sanctuary. I advise you to take it, but you're under Russia and China. You understand? They don't give a damn about you. They will let those South Africans take back the land because they can cut better deals with them. South Africa is sitting on it is a gold mine. It's so rich in minerals and precious metals and diamonds. I mean, it's literally a gold mine. Once you're gone, they'll be digging up your property left and right. They'll grow those crops somewhere else. You have no idea what you're sitting on. And the Africans will most surely want their cut of the money of whatever they find now that they've reclaimed that land. They don't have to dig it up either, or better yet, they can get jobs digging it up and take home some profits at the same time. Look at that, double profits. Get paid to make yourself rich with a pickaxe and some shovels. That's why they built those apartments. I think there was a 3D printer. The Chinese built 30,000 or 300,000 homes in 30 days with a 3D printer in South Africa. They're these little 1-bedroom apartments. They're perfect for if you had a male workforce or whatever. They're perfect for them. They get up, they eat, they come to work all day. They go home to a little 1-bedroom apartment, clean up. It's got a modernized shower in the kitchen. Nice little living room, nice sized bedroom. Yeah, that's perfect for a workforce. That's perfect for a workforce. It all comes together. They did that years ago, like about 2-3 years ago. It's perfect for a workforce. You're on your own. Those people are on their own. Right. It's like you put the puzzle pieces together, it all makes sense. Those people never mind. Hold on. Sorry. Let's get back to this. I don't think this is it, but I hope this is it, where he say the quiet part out loud.
Democrats need to be dancing all over that. Otherwise, they're going to end up like Patrick Mahomes going on without the win.
I want to read to you, just to get a little deeper on this, what Brianna Wu, a transgender woman and Democratic strategist who ran for Congress in 2018, here's what we're hearing from Brianna, who for years has been pushing for an extreme view of transgender rights. She blamed party leaders for embracing positions like around participation in girls' sports that turn off voters, and said this aided Republican efforts to roll back transgender rights more broadly. Quote, it doesn't help marginalized people to not be able to win elections. The purpose of the Democratic Party is to win elections. We don't need to be babysitting the emotional state of activists.
And they're right. Because remember the guy in the white, like they had to go back and change the rules and include him on the ballot as far as him being non-binary. So then when he finally got out there and spoke, the dude in the white with the list, the Afro-Latina, like he got 0 votes. He didn't even vote for himself. Like, dude, like even the Democratic Party are done with you. Like, and what rights did you lose? Like, you're just barred from going into women's bathrooms, locker rooms, and participating in their sports. You are barred from women's spaces. Like, so what rights did you lose? What? The right to put on a wig and a dress and some makeup and go pee in the women's bathroom to dominate them in their sports? Like those shouldn't have been rights in the first place. Like you never had them before, and nobody bothered you when you walked into the bathroom in your little chiffon dress and your full beard and your sun hat on in the size 13 pumps. Nobody bothered you when you was at the urinal or went to the stall and came out. We just looked at you like, oh, okay. Like he one of them dudes. And minded our business. The hell we look like trying to yell and scream at you with our members out. Get the hell out of here. Like nobody bothered you. You didn't lose you lost rights you shouldn't have had. Privileges. You lost privileges you shouldn't have had in the first place.
I think that clearly we again allowed them to define us. I had a mentor that used to say to me, those that define you can confine you. And I think the definition, when they came out with this blitz on transgender, exaggerating the point, there was no pushback saying, no, we're not saying that. We're saying people have rights.
Hold on. There was pushback, but it was labeled as misinformation, remember? It was the trans people that were pushing the extremeness of themselves with drag time for kids. And I mean kids, like not even double-digit age. Drag queens, like doing like full pose shows and everything. Like they in a gentleman's club or whatever. I mean, it was just terrible. Sex toys and all. It was wild.
So I think that she, in many ways, says what is true. And that is that we cannot appear reckless in where we are fighting in terms of trying to make people be forced into situations that they do not want to be forced in if we don't believe in. I believe in transgender rights, but I do not believe that should be the lead and defined by the opposition.
Well, and that's exactly how Democrats were defined. If you look at the polls that came out afterwards, that's what most Americans thought Democrats cared the most for, in part because of an ad blitz. But I do want to read you this also from the article, from the Times article, Rev, about the split in the party and what happened even during the election for party leader. Just how far the party is from consensus was apparent during the recent election for the next chairman of the Democratic National Committee, which devolved at times into almost a caricature of left-wing litmus tests on inclusivity. Candidates were asked to pledge to expand transgender representation, add a new Muslim caucus, and affirm that racism and misogyny contributed to Kamala Harris's defeat. Last Saturday, the departing DNC chairman, Jamie Harrison, labored to explain the party's dizzyingly complex gender parity provisions. Our rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 officers must be gender balanced. Republicans gleefully circulated clips of the moment to portray Democrats as hopelessly obtuse. Reverend Al.
I think that what the Democrats.
Hold on. What I don't think that they're actually getting a grasp on is that what Trump is doing, what his administration is doing, is he's taking away all of the specialness, all right, that people think they feel because they're different. Oh, I'm black, oh, I'm gay, or I'm trans, so therefore I'm a victim. I'm a Native American, so I'm a victim. It's like, you know what? We don't care anymore. We don't care anymore. Like, how about you stop woe is me and get in tune with American society? Be a productive citizen. Stop kitty-catting, moaning, whining, crying, sighing, pouting all the time. Words of Candace Owens, life's tough. Get a helmet. Get your butt out there and compete. Be an adult. Stop crying all the time. You sound like a spoiled little child. You're not special. You're not special. Everything that you think that made you special, it doesn't make you special. You're not special. So what if you're black? He's Mexican. She's Asian. All right? They're African. Who cares? Oh, I'm a victim. How were you a victim? You were just trying to steal a cart full of groceries out of freaking Walmart. How are you a victim of racism? Because you're getting arrested for it? You really think you can live somewhere for free and not pay your rent? And then comes the eviction process server. He come with a crowbar. They're allowed to break in the door if you don't answer it. You don't live there anymore. Your best bet is to open the door because they're coming in one way or the other. If they call the police, you will be arrested or forced to stand there and watch as they throw your shit out on the curb. Oh, that's 4. Swear in the swear jar. This is real life. Real life is not fair. Real life is tough. You got to get your money up. You don't get your money up, get your act together. One of the two, hopefully both, you can forget it. You are not going to make it in this country. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. Nobody wants to hear your sob story. Nobody cares about your race or your gender or what you call yourself or you know, whatever. Whatever little sob story, sad little excuse you can come up with where you want somebody to do a pity party for you. Nobody's listening anymore.
Democrats have to be careful of is again being defined where we are more concerned about checking off boxes, a certain amount of this, certain amount of that, rather than being clear on what it is we stand for and have people of all backgrounds rise up to represent that. And the fallout from that is by just saying we have to have 5% of this, 12% of that, and not what it stands for, and that these people have merit and speak for the people. The fallout is you end up with people that cannot really do what needs to be done to make the party victorious. Sure, we need diversification, but we also need people that are able and qualified to do what needs to be done. And if we make point B, point A, and A, point B, we lose every time. And we cannot let those that can make the most noise decide the strategy. Let them yell all they want. I remember during the George Floyd fight, when many of us were leading the marches and rallying nonviolently and working with the family, there were people that said, we want to burn down Minneapolis. And we said, we're not with them. You have to have the nerve to not only stand up to your opposition, you have to have the nerve to stand up to the noise makers in your own side and say, wait a minute, that's not what we're about.
Yeah, well, that's why DEI failed. That's why DEI failed. I think I might have to go to this guy's. All right, I'm gonna play it. Is this it? Yeah.
That looks into another angle as to what's going on here, what many see as an identity crisis the Democratic Party is facing about identity.
All right, we already covered that.
Rather than they set the tone. You're dealing with a president.
In efforts to roll back.
Reverend Al Sharpton, I was pushing that to live in that land, but in the last.
And affirmed that racism and misogyny contributed to Kamala Harris's defeat.
The conversation, he knew it.
Oh, I guess that was it. I guess that's what I heard this morning then. All right, I just wanted to be sure. What's up, Sick Diggy? I just wanted to be sure that's what I heard. Gotta be thorough. Want to be right. Want to be thorough. So that was Al Sharpton saying that they got to clean up their act, but it's too late. But I do believe I heard him say something about why DEI failed. Maybe it's in my history. I don't know. Sorry, hold on. I just want to be sure. Like to be thorough. Lindy Lee. Okay. I'll never forget her name again. Lindy Lee. Okay. That's the Asian lady. That's Sasa. Lindy Lee is Sasa. Okay. And yeah, okay. So that's what I heard. All right. Just to be sure. All right. So let's get on to the dessert. The main course here. So Trump and Elon Musk double down on Doge and cutting wasteful spending. And what he says is very, Pam Bondi is going to be very busy. Her and Kash Patel, they're going to be very busy. Let's go.
X, are you okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
And he's got this, check out this cool chain he's got.
So thank you very much. We had a busy day today. The king just left, and we've had a great discussion, terrific discussion concerning Gaza and everything else. We had discussions also about Saturday at 12 o'clock. It's going to be a big moment. We'll see what happens. I don't expect much happening with these people, but we'll see what happens. And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that we found, which are shocking. Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation. I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So the at a high level, if you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, FAX, we'd have to, if you sorry. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that's responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense, but if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million,
right,
etc.?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps.
This is why I'm gonna continue. I'll keep it short. But this is why when Elon's team went in, do understand they thought that it was going to take them months or maybe years to comb through all the red tape in order to find where the money was missing. They probably thought they had covered their tracks. But Elon went in with like super nerds. These are dudes that like Rick from Rick and Morty is like, supposedly the caricature of. These guys are so smart. I mean, they make the Big Bang Theory exactly what it is, a lame ass TV show, supposedly about 4 scientists. They make that shit look like trash. Excuse me, Dad, that's 5, 6. We'll make it 6. 6 in the swear jar. At any rate, these kids are super smart. These are like the people who helped thread the needle on that rocket that they were talking about, Musk. Like, they use these arms to grab the rocket or whatnot. They snatched the rocket out of the air. Oh yeah, these are the kids that wrote like that program and whatnot. These are the super smart nerds. They could hack into the Pentagon if they wanted to. Like, they're super smart. They wrote the AI program to trace the money. That's why the the day that they got the keys to the Treasury, the next day, out came the scandal. And the first thing that happened was the Democrats got a judge to freeze Elon Musk, well, at least the Doge team led by Elon Musk, into peering into private citizens' bank accounts, which would be them. All right. Once they found out where the money was, they blocked him from being able to go into their bank accounts and see exactly, if the transaction, I mean, they already know the transaction went through, but they just need to collect the evidence of you having the money. They need the actual evidence, the smoking gun as it is. So they blocked that. And I mean, rightfully so, because Doge is not the police, they're just the accountants. So what's going to happen is he's more than likely, Trump is going to turn the case over to Pam Bondi, who will then turn the case over to Kash Patel, and then he'll get his new fresh FBI agents to look into it, and they'll start issuing subpoenas and warrants and whatnot to start peeking into bank accounts and seeing where other transactions have come from. Like you said, how is it that people who make a couple $100,000 a year, like suddenly now they have tens of millions of dollars in their bank accounts? AOC, Jasmine Crockett.
Just, there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, if you look at, say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list. And even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints. But now we're saying that no, actually we are going to complain if money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people. I mean, these things, like, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical. I think it's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's a case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, like, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, you know, one of the things is like we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this obviously there needs to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, well, okay, well, if people can retire, you know, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, then the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, you know, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else. And you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So anyway, so I think, you know, that's an example. Like at a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity? Is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone. That's the actual goal. Everyone's very quiet. So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
Okay, Tony Stark.
A lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, that, you know, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for, and that's what democracy is all about.
Mr. Musk,
In
the
a
White House
republic.
says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. So, you know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, you know, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest, when it comes to you yourself? For instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts when it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide
I
any
spend the money on what it's for.
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately,
including you yourself?
Yes, but transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area. If we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this. Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt. And it is very corrupt. It's very, very, it's also foolish. As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, because nobody ends a contract. You got a lot of that. You have a contract that's a 3-month contract. Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months, it's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years, They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be corruption. It could be deals made on both sides, where the guy gets the money, he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here. I see a lot of kickback here.
There's a lot of kickbacks.
Tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts. So he has to get a kickback. So that's what I got elected for, that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions, many billions of dollars. And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find. That will have quite an impact on the budget.
They're going to have a higher court overturn that judge, unless they can find a loophole.
And you'll go to a judge where they handpick a judge, and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has certain leanings, and he wants us to stop looking. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million, $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants, all illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Mr. Musk, can I ask a question?
Well, if I may sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, okay, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically.
Nancy Pelosi. That's the one that she went over to England, like early part of January. She went over to England, suddenly had a mysterious accident, and then supposedly the next day had hip surgery. And now she's going to be out of the country for 6 to 9 months, rehabbing, recovery. Like, get the hell out of here. Sorry, I knew it would come to me.
Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build, and if we do that, that means you get the economic growth.
Wait. I'm laughing because, you see the kid all digging in his nose, right? Imagine when he looks back and sees these videos when he's like over the age of 15. He's always so embarrassed. I bet his mother would show it to his girlfriends. Look, this is when he was the president. He was just this big.
You may be 3-4%, maybe 5%.
And eating it too.
That means you can get $1 trillion of economic growth, and you can cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion. Between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop.
Okay.
That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. Imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
We had no idea we were going to find this much, and it's open. It's not like complicated. It's
not
simple
that complicated.
Stuff. It's
like a lot of work. Yeah.
You can't believe it. A lot of work, a lot of smart people involved. Very, very smart people. But you're talking about anywhere, maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers you're talking about. Normally when you're looking at something, you'll find you're looking for 1 out of 100. Here, you're almost reversing it. You look for one that's good.
Yeah.
And you can look at the title and you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the public gets it. The public gets it. You've seen the polls. The public is saying, why are we paying all this money? This for years, this has gone on.
President Trump.
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that DOJ cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress. Do you agree with that? Is that the plan?
I really don't know. I know this. We're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse. If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote, although there'll be some people that wouldn't vote. And how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud and finding all of this incompetence?
You know what? If I was Trump, I would go see that judge. I wouldn't invite him to the White House. I would go because he might be silly enough to decline the invitation. So I would just fly out and go see him and talk to him personally in his chambers. The press can be there, but I want to talk to him. I want to ask him to his face, why are you blocking me from finding fraud? Like, what's going on? If you got questions, I got answers. You can ask me directly, and get him to lift it. Other than that, then, you just have to go over his head legally.
Why would that happen? Why would even Congress want to do that? Now, Congress, if we do need a vote, I think we'd get a very easy vote because we have a track record now. We've already found billions of dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption. A lot of corruption.
If a judge does block one of your policies, part of your agenda, will you abide by that ruling? Will you comply?
Well, I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum. And it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books. If a person's crooked and they get caught, other people see that, and all of a sudden it becomes harder later on. So, yeah the answer is I always abide by the courts, always abide by them, and will appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt situation, we have a check to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you want us to send this corrupt check to a person, or do you want us not to give it and give it back to the taxpayer? I would hope a judge would say, don't send it, give it back to the taxpayer.
Yeah, if I can add to that, what we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans. So I think we can all agree that if there's going to be a fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries. We should stop that. And this is big numbers. We're talking about $100 to $200 billion a year. Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said
Ukraine. That's why old girl was nominated. Tulsi, I think. Because she's going to take a team over there, a team of accountants over there to Ukraine to talk to Zelensky. And let's take a look at his books. I mean, not just him, but other leaders or organizations overseas that have been getting money from USAID. But Zelensky is the number one target. Because Zelensky came out saying that, I didn't get no 250 billion. Like, I don't know what y'all talking about. I ain't getting no billions of dollars. I don't know what y'all talking about. He came out and said that. So it's like, well, then where's the money? Hits Pete Hegseth, because this is military. So the military was in, hey, making sure dude got this money. This is your division. So where's the money? Who was the last person to touch the money? Oh, okay. Step into the office. Yes, we have 2 FBI agents here ready to talk to you. What happened to the money? Ooh.
On X, and an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct this statement? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. But if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Yeah, either way, it's an absurd number.
With agency heads, as you're directing these cuts, do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, there are sort of checks in place. So it's not just us just going in and doing things willy-nilly. It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So we talk almost every day, and I double check things to make sure, is this something, Mr. President, you want us to do this? We'll do it.
USAID has been one of your main targets. Are you concerned at all that some of the cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States?
Yeah, so that's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention. Yes, correct.
Right, so they didn't stop the money on that.
We are moving fast, so we will make mistakes, but we'll also fix the mistakes very quickly. So
Do you see it as a worthy cause, USAID?
I think that there's some worthy things, but overall, if you say what was the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
I mean, just have to follow up to the
Right, because USAID was going to a bunch of the money was, as I spoke of earlier, going to a bunch of media outlets, especially newspapers, to write positive articles or negative articles, whatever the marching orders were that were coming out of the White House. As we know, was run by, people under the age of 40. It's just ridiculous because of what was going on with Biden and his mental state.
The Pentagon contracts. If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that
which we
a
definitely need
conflict
to
of
do and
interest?
are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know, because every one of them was.
The president said
Right, like we spend the money on what we get it for.
treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see or do you see right now in U.S. treasuries?
Yeah, I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or
You also referenced treasuries on Air Force One the other night.
Go ahead.
well, as I mentioned earlier, really the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting. Sorry for this, although my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears and stuff. So it's a bit hard to hear sometimes. Hey, stop that. The stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So for example, like I mentioned, just making sure that when a payment goes out, it has to have a payment categorization code. It's like, what type of payment is this? You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, many payments, the field is left blank. And you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization. That
Same
also
thing
is
with
left blank.
USAID.
So this is why, the Pentagon, when's the last time the Pentagon passed an audit? I mean, a decade ago, maybe? I don't know, ever? Really? And we want to just, in order to actually pass audits, you have to have financial information that allows you to trace the payments. And once in a while, the Treasury has to pause payments if it thinks the payment is going to a fraudulent organization. If a company or organization is on a do not pay list, we should not pay it. I'm sure you would agree. Like, if it's quite hard to get on that payment, the do not pay list, it means that this is someone that is like
You said this already.
Terrorists, known fraudsters, that kind of thing. We should not pay them. But currently we do, which is crazy. We should stop that.
Many transactions. And by the way, hundreds, thousands of transactions like that. We have a big team. And for the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just, when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But
Hold on, that reminds me. When Congress tried to do that little stunt at the Board of Education, Lewis was saying that they were looking to protest. I can believe that. Also, two things can be true at the same time. I also think that they were also going to the offices there, or the offices that they have there or whatnot, in order to confiscate whatever evidence that they may have from taking money from the Board of Education, because it was just very weird that they went there, but yet they were locked out. So it sounds like somebody caught wind of something, because why would you care if they go there just to protest? You wouldn't care. Let them be on the TV showing the Americans that they're not working and that they're protesting whatever they're protesting. But it seems like it was something more to it than that. Personally, I think they were looking to confiscate and possibly destroy evidence, or try to cover their tracks. And Trump caught wind of it, and therefore they locked them out. That's what I think. But I mean, we'll see. It'll all come out in the wash. But if the same people who are getting money from USAID are also getting money from the Board of Education, or anybody that was outside that day is getting money under the table, kickbacks from the Board of Education, then it makes sense.
USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to, as we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying, or that things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
On the buyout program, can you personally guarantee that?
Which one?
The buyout program, the offer to federal workers. Can you personally guarantee that the workers who opt in to resign now will be paid through September?
They'll get their money, but they're getting a good deal. They're getting a big buyout. And what we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. We have office space. It's occupied by 4%. Nobody's showing up to work because they were told not to. And then Biden gave them a 5-year pass, some of them, 48,000 of them, gave them a 5-year pass, that for 5 years, you don't have to show up to work.
That's wild.
And let me tell you, this is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden. It's his fault. He allowed this country, what he did on our border. What he did on our border is almost not as bad as what he did with all of these contracts that have come out. It's a very sad day when we look at it. I can't even believe it. But many contracts just extend, and they just keep extending, and there was nobody there to correct it. And that cannot be, I can't imagine that could be held up by the court. Any court that would say that the president or his representatives, like Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, whatever, doesn't have the right to go over their books and make sure everything's honest. I mean, how can you have a country? You can't have anything that way. You can't have a business that way. You can't have a country that way. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Mark Vogel will be at the White House tonight at about 10 o'clock. If you want to come over, you can say hello to him.
Did you guys get anything in return?
Not much. No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. I hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war and millions of people can stop being killed. They've lost millions of people. They lost, in terms of soldiers, probably 1.5 million soldiers in a short period of time. We got to stop that war. And I'm interested primarily from the standpoint of death. We're losing all those soldiers. And they're not American soldiers, they're Ukrainian and Russian soldiers. But you're probably talking about 1.5 million. I think we got to bring that one to an end. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
So this is what I was saying last night, is that Donald Trump is going after the money. And a lot of this is Democrat honeypots. You tried to kill him. He cares not about any type of bipartisanship with you. He's all about trying to save the country from going broke. At the same time, finding corruption and looking to prosecute those who have stolen money from the taxpayers. You can try to impeach a president like that. You're going to fail because he's going to present his evidence and show that the reason why you are trying to vote to impeach him is because he found out that you were stealing money. Look, the Democratic Party needs a clean sweep of its leadership. This is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to take. Prosecuting people, throwing people in jail, putting people on house arrest, but at any rate, making them go before a judge about corruption. This is what it's going to take to clean up Democratic leadership. Flat out. Trump is getting ready to really, in all honesty, he getting ready to do the Democrats a favor, whether they like it or not. Whether they like it or not. Like Al Sharpton said, in so many words he said, you got to get rid of the activists. The loudest voices in the room should not be heard. They should not be the ones taking the lead on this. You should be condemning them. Yeah, Democratic Party is cooked. All right. Y'all be easy.
He must have given up, thrown in the towel, abandoned his sad little masquerade. I finally got to him. The power of the press triumphs.